Hello everyone, I'm Ignacio Ripes, co-founder of Purple Dental, and this is the problem that we dentists face every day. There's saliva everywhere, the patient moves, sometimes they bite, and you have to somehow make this perfectly clear and dry area just inside the mouth. And this happens 570 million times a year only in the US. So, what's the solution? The solution is the purple tip, our purple tip. You place it inside the mouth and it gently pushes the tongue to a side, the cheek to a side, while removing all of the saliva. And also it removes up to 90% of aerosols generated during dental treatment. Our validation, well, we have already sold over 325 test kits. We started selling in June, in the middle of the pandemic. And even though the clinics were closed, the CDC was closing, and the American Dental Association was recommending not to do treatments, we have already begun selling. And both our testers and our advisors love the device. If you compare us to our competitors, we feel that there's a very clear and large niche for us. And according to one of our customers from Texas, the price point is just perfect. So how do we sell? Well, the Purple Tip is a disposable device. So our business model is a monthly subscription. And we want to reach within the next 3 years 2% of the market, generating approximately $12.6 million in sales. We have partnerships with the leaders in the dental field in the US, both in the academic fields and industrial. And we are right now beginning to expand with larger distributors. We have FDA approval, we have certified quality assurance. We obtained our patent, our American patent, and we're working on the clinical trials to show the 90% of aerosol elimination. Also, we have a working e-commerce platform capable of accepting and shipping our device throughout the United States. Right now, we're looking for $200K in investment as a bridge investment before our next round, because as you all know, the pandemic got us right when we were beginning to sell. So we want to increase a little bit of our runway and enlarge our sales team and begin the second stage of the Purple Tip, which is the first true smart diagnostic tool. And our first target would be pancreatic cancer, and also to begin the Purple is Green program, which is to recycle 100% of our production. Our team, it's myself, Daniel, an MBA, and we have the ability, thanks to the Mass Life Science, to choose 4 interns from any of the 51 universities that are working in Massachusetts. And well, if you have any questions, thank you. Oh.
Hello, Ignacio. Thank you for your presentation. I'm going to start with the questions. I'd like you to expand a little bit more on your next steps. Like you said, you have a second stage. There were many things going on. So I wanted to be a little bit more clear on what's actually coming next, and
okay.
and how will you use this 200? Because it seems that 200 for all of that seems a little bit high. So can you please expand on that?
Yeah. Right now, we don't need the 200, but it would allow us to go faster, because first and foremost, we want to increase sales, and we're planning to hire someone with more sales experience than us, but especially in our field, to have contacts to the larger distributors, and that would be our main goal for the next 2 months. After that, after we have polished all of that, because that will involve also, we've been invited, for example, to Texas to show to the Texas Association of Hygienists our device. So we have to travel a lot and show our stuff even through the middle of the pandemic, because it's a tool in the end. So you have to know how to use it properly. And even though we're using doing a lot of information, videos and everything, we need a hands-on approach.
Great.
Excellent.
So I love the product. It's beautiful, and I love the marketing. What I was hoping to understand a little bit more is your business model. I can understand the desire to not go directly through distribution and the margins there, but to spend so much effort going after direct to dentist office sales, with a singular product. It seems like you're spending a lot of effort going out there. So I guess first question about the business model, but then also how do you think there might be an expansion, other products that you could provide to dentists along the same line, leveraging your current marketing?
First, we completely agree. We just wanted to do the direct sales to dentists only to increase our valuation when we deal with the distributors. For example, Henry Schein already contacted us. But we wanted to be in a stronger position and show them this thing actually sells by itself rather than trying to negotiate with a weaker hand, right? Also, the products that we have a pipeline because you have the super basic device, but there's a handle for it. And the handle that you use every single time, we can easily add on IoT. We already talked to PTC, for example, that would help us out to develop the IoT devices for us. So we could begin going to diagnostics, and we are going to pancreatic cancer because it seems like a very interesting target because we can see very clear signs of pancreatic cancer before in the mouth than anywhere else. So you would go to the dentist and you would get antibody screening, or and you have it's a perfect place to do actual machine learning through diagnostics.
Great, thank you.
So I think it's my turn to recap and give you feedback. Hi, Ignacio. It's very nice to see you again. So I agree with saying this is a very exciting product. What I like very much about what you've done is that you have gone directly to the user and tested your device. I think that that's extremely valuable. I would say that sales execution as fast as possible, it's the name of the game. Maybe even more than expanding and broadening the portfolio. And maybe what you should consider is, in addition to that sales capability in a form of a team member or a part-time consultant, there are other elements that you should invest on, like media, getting yourselves out there and get into this leverage position in which you can negotiate with distributors. And that may require a little bit larger round and a lower valuation, but it may be worth it. So I'm just trying to say that I see a great opportunity here, but be sure that you have enough money to capture the share of the market that is gonna deliver excellent deals with the channels. And I would say that because there is risk in copying your product, so to speak, getting fast out there and positioning you with a substantial market share may be very, very important. Thank you for the presentation, a very exciting progress. You guys are doing great, and carry on.
So, let me tell you a real life story. This is Christopher Perotto, a great guy and a gifted baseball player. He developed chronic back pain after an accident, and his doctor prescribed him opioids, the strongest painkillers available. Opioids are the best for pain, but they're highly addictive. Christopher became addicted to opioids, and sadly, he died of overdose. Like him, sadly, 128 Americans die every single day for opioids overdose, just to relieve their pain. So, what are the alternatives for this? Well, there is a lot of non-opioids painkillers, but they're not as effective as an opioid, and they have a lot of side effects. So, it imposes an impossible choice for those who suffer chronic pain. Or they live with pain and the side effects, or they live with no pain but risking their lives. So, faced with this problem, I developed PNX3 chronic pain treatment. It relieves musculoskeletal chronic pain without risk of generating addiction and without side effects. So how does it work? It blocks Pannexin-1 channel, a protein that I discovered during my PhD that releases ATP, and ATP causes chronic pain. So PNX3 blocks Pannexin-1 channel, and then ATP is not released anymore, and it decreases chronic pain this way. So far, we've demonstrated that PNX3 is highly effective in relieving pain at the same level of gabapentin, which is the main competitor, but with 10 times less doses, which means less side effects, less toxicity, and also we prove that PNX3 decreases ATP release and is not toxic from brain cells. According to my voice of the customer strategy, doctors, patients, and pharmaceutical companies are looking for drugs that are highly effective, like opioids, non-addictive, like a non-opioid, but without side effects. So PNX3 now fills this gap, beating all competitors. So my plan now is to raise $2.4 million to finish the patent application in the US this year, as well as improvements for my molecule, for them to move to the US, supported by Ganesha Lab, to perform my non-clinical trials in order to receive the FDA approval for human testing. With this approval, I will sell or license the technology for some of these pharmaceutical companies that are right here that are actively looking for new solutions for treating chronic pain. But why would they do so? Because musculoskeletal chronic pain market is huge. It is a market of $32 billion of profits a year, with a CAGR of 18.3% until 2022. I'm currently working alone, but although I have previous experience in this field and good advisor for these first steps, I'm actively looking for a team that complement my skills to develop non-addictive painkillers to save lives. Thank you very much.
So, thank you, David, for your presentation. And I would like to start by asking a personal question first. Why do you think you are going to be successful in your venture, having in mind that you have picked a pretty tough field and highly intensive in capital with a long run ahead? And based on your presentation and your one-pager, you seem to be a little bit alone. We don't see a team. So I'm interested in your answer here.
Yeah. The point here is to develop the project is developed step by step. So for each stage, I have advisors and small participants in each stage. For example, in the synthesis of the molecule, in the pilot studies, in the preclinical trials, etc. So for this, I'm hiring advisors or consultants for supporting these steps in order to have the patent, the recipe of the molecule, the authorization of the FDA, and go and sell this package in the future. Of course, I do know that I lack skills for example, commercial sites. So one of the reason I'm going to travel to Boston, supported by Ganesha, is to find partners which I'm actually right now looking for them in order to make them part of my team and supporting me in this path. For giving you an example, I'm talking to Dr. Rodrigo Noceda, who works at Harvard University, who works in pain also, and he's interested in participating in this entrepreneur. So I'm working on this construction.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David.
Hi, David. I have two questions.
Yes.
I see that you have 2 scientific papers and a patent. I would like to understand better if that patent has been granted and why only in Chile. That would be my first question. If there are other geographies where it's being granted, and specifically, what are you protecting there? And my question is, in those 2 papers, I would imagine you have some animal studies. Can you talk a bit more about what's the proof point that you have today in hand that is going to help your conversations in Boston?
Yes. First of all, the patent was a mix with conventional non-specific blockers and a peptide with nanotechnology with the University of Santiago. And it was an injection in which you provide this pain relief. This is the patent, and this has been granted only in Chile because University of Santiago just focused on Chile and not in the broader development. So this is why, because I know this is exactly how it works, I developed new molecules that are novel. These are new chemical entities for drugs. So this is a brand new patent that I'm working alone without conflict with the past. I just mentioned that as a background. So this is actually, I'm right now writing this patent in order to make an US application before the end of this year in the US. And answering your second question, I published my information in the best paper, best journal of pain in the world, which is called Pain. And the animal models, of course, are not humans, but they give you insights for knowing how the drug works and how will it work in the future. In order to have it ready to go to the market, and first I have to test it in humans, and for get to humans, I must test first in rats, and then according to FDA requirements, in non-rodents animals. With this, I can receive the approval of the FDA to test in humans. It's a necessary step. I used to work. I worked for 2 years in a CRO, in a pharmaceutical CRO. So I've been working on this regulatory path when the use of animals and animals as a proof of safety of the drug for going to the FDA and get the approval for humans.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, well, thank you, David, for your presentation. Very impressive discovery as well. I think it's always exciting when you realize you're discovering something good, and I praise you to keep going, because once you find something cool in academia, I think it's just selfish not to try to push it a little bit further, see if there's something out there. So congratulations on that. As a general feedback, I will just say, well, you give a great presentation. I will be more specific in what you just answered to Marta just now, to make clear what you actually have right now. This is a patent is granted, but it's really like basically is the new patent, if I understand correctly, that is the new patent, the one that will give you probably the edge to move faster in the pharmaceutical industry. So I will be more clear on that, and also I think it's very clear that you need a team. Okay, this is not a solo journey. So I'll be.
Sure.
I think like not only with the 2.4 million, but you need more than money. You need a team to walk with you this very, very long path. And as a final recommendation, I would suggest to start talking as early as possible with pharmaceutical companies and or expert advisors that could lead you to what kind of data you really need to bring. You might not need to bring all the preclinical data. You might need just a few proof of concept studies in animals that might lead you to further conversations. So I'll strongly recommend to begin those conversations as early as possible.
Thank you so much for these advices. I'm actually working on it for the last 2 months, constructing this strategy. But for sure, the team is something I'm working hard, line it up, because this is not solo work, for sure.
Over 800,000 people die each year for diseases we know how to treat for decades. This is known as the Antibiotics Crisis, in which infectious bacteria are becoming resistant to the treatments that we have available. This problem is severely rooted in the food industry, where antibiotics' main focus is to maintain the animal healthy and in welfare. But now it's become clear that we need to find new alternatives before we run out of treatments for both animals and ourselves. To prevent that, in biotechnology, we developed proteins with ample range for infectious bacteria. These antimicrobials can prevent the growth and development of certain infectious bacteria, being a potent and potential replacement for antibiotic as a more green and sustainable approach. Up until now, we've obtained a lab-working prototype, which we were able to demonstrate its potent bactericidal capacities, giving us the data to affirm that this could be used for multiple diseases. Different to many of the new technologies for animal health currently being developed, as both phages and vaccines are both novel treatments and therapies that are species-specific and also are disease-specific. Given the importance of this threat, the antibiotic crisis, the market for novel treatments is over 19 billion, with a growing investment in startups recorded at 6.9 billion last year. Technologies that we develop in biotechnology have a direct and profitable future as both cattle owners and as they see an improvement in their production and reduction of loss, and pharma companies need novel products to replace the antibiotics, now being highly banned, especially in European markets. Our plan to get this technology approved by the FDA, the regulations, is initially for honeybees as they are minor animals, while we gather up more data and validate these antimicrobials to be used in major animals, generating a technology package to be able to be acquired by a therapeutics company with an estimated exit of $40 million according to similar technologies in the past. We, in biotechnology, are fully committed and have been motivated with this technology and its potentials, since we won our first fund with the idea alone when we were all students, and are looking to expand our team as we grow closer into regulations and commercialization. We are biotechnologists, supported by our local university, the commercial and scientific support of a Ganesha Lab and COPECUC, with the advice from California's Erika Pascal and Dr. Niño in the field trials specifically. For our next steps, we're beginning our seed round for the field trials and to produce a small industry-level prototype according to the FDA guidelines, with a group of patents and secret to protect its use, allowing us to alleviate some of the problems and pains this antibiotics crisis is and will continue to cause. So, if we want to have treatments and food that are greener, safer, and long-lasting, we need to be novel, we need to be innovative, we need to be technology. Thank you.
So yeah, it seems like a great technology platform as well, and certainly the animal health market is really looking for solutions in this, and I like to see your U.S. patent applications as well. I guess one of the concerns being is the regulatory path and approval and the timelines, that it takes to get something. So can you speak a little bit to the regulatory path for your product?
Yeah, I mean, we initially want to start with honeybees, well, because initially we were only focused on the honeybee, but it's also a way in which we can reduce the time and the costs of the regulatory affairs, because of the guidelines that these animals required for testing tend to be a lot less complicated than the major animals. So by applying first to the FDA, which we have already had conversations with, and we have already elucidated the path that we have in front of us. What we're going to do is have this technology that we have already tested as non-toxic, that it has effectiveness and it's not ecotoxic. We need to take those into the FDA and get it approved for honeybees. And then once it's approved for honeybees, it can be revalidated with the new data from field trials in cows, pigs, or sheep. And it becomes not a new drug, it's just an already approved drug that it's changing the organisms for which it's intended to be used.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey Camilo, congratulations on the presentation and the improvements that you have shown. What would be like the first product to be tested, and what would be the market to be addressed?
Initially, we're testing regarding the honeybees preventive disease. So it's focused completely on the California local agriculture set. That's where we have also made our contacts with beekeepers and with startups that contain a lot of honeybees, also the researchers. So we are aiming to have this initially as a powder or an additive that can be put in the honeybee's diet that prevents a very lethal disease. So that would be our entry into the market. That California is a very interesting and very it's the goal, as it contains a lot of the hives and a lot of the apicultural center in the United States.
Thank you.
Gaston.
All right. Hi, Camilo. I feel like I've been wearing a similar pair of shoes for quite a long time now. Even though I can go through sort of a long list of things that you have probably take care about, starting with efficacy data, regulatory path, as Zane already asked, studies for regulatory compliance, intellectual property, so on and so forth. I think one of your main challenges has to do with credibility here in the US, if that's your ultimate goal where you're planning to start your company. No matter what you do in Chile or Latin America or everywhere else, you will need to validate or revalidate all what you've done here for specific audiences, and you need to build your credibility. And I hope you are able to start soon. I know that the pandemic has played tricks with most of us, but I think the faster you move here, the better for the results of your company. That's one thing. Something that can help is that you start looking for partners, corporations, organizations where you can leverage those brands and names to this part of the world, because you need to start with something. So in my own experience, I think the clearer that you get with your business model, the partners, and the way how you're planning to tap into the marketplace, those decisions are going to be key to also translate all the traction into the US. But I think you are in good track, and wishing you all the best in the next steps of the company.
Thank you, Gaston.
Hi, my name is Denise Uhur. I'm a CEO and co-founder of Smart Tissues. Today, I will explain you why and how we print life. Did you know that 90% of the drugs do not get to patients because they fail during the clinical trials? In fact, every new drug put at risk the life of thousands of patients, costs about $1.5 billion, and more than 12 years are wasted. You may be wondering why this is happening. Well, as a scientist, I can tell you that we still have a very inefficient approach to preclinical tests. We are still using cells cultured in petri dishes and testing in animals. However, this approach does not represent the human physiology. So, what if we can find a solution where the drugs are tested on human tissues without actually using any human? This is exactly why we are working on 3D bioprinting, which allowed us to print realistic human models by combining human cells with biomaterials. The process begins by taking the cells from the patient, combining them with a bioink that will allow us to print layer by layer a realistic human tissue, and in the future to create fully functional organs for transplantation. As you can guess, one of the critical parts of this process is having the right bioink. And that's why we create a unique biomaterial, which is suitable for bioprinting. It is natural, biocompatible, and most importantly, it is the first bioink in the market that has intrinsic antibacterial properties, which is highly desirable for clinical applications. And although bringing this technology to the clinical settings may sound like something artificial, much of it is happening right now all over the world, increasing the interest of bioprinting technologies and supporting the exponential growth of this market. As bioinks are single-use, we will constantly supply them to our customers. We also operate on B2B approach by partnering with bioprinter suppliers. We have an outstanding team which is committed to the project and has all the skills to take this business to the next level. As we have the potential to reach the market within few months, we are looking for investors and collaborative partnerships to support our product launch as a research tool. Let's bring life together. Thank you.
Hi, Denise.
Hi.
Hi, great presentation. Congratulations. I wanted to ask you, what will your strategy be to approach the biggest markets in drug development? I'm thinking specifically Boston, which is part of the Ganesha Lab program and one of the possible sites for soft landing. What would your strategy be to address that market, the biggest probably biotech hub in the world?
Yeah, actually, yes. In US, this is one of the biggest markets right now for our technology. So the first step is gonna be to protect our invention, our biomaterial. So we will now. We already have the prior art. So our biomaterial is novel, so it can be patentable. So now we are collecting the last piece of data, and with that, and of course all the data, the backup data on the properties of our bioink, we think we can reach basically global market. And also we are interested in Asia Pacific market, since we also have strong connections, specifically in Japan, and also because this is a great tool for regenerative medicine. And well, in terms of regulations, specifically in Japan, they are more flexible also in this kind of technologies and to implement new technologies in regenerative medicine.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I think it's my turn to ask a question. Thank you very much, Denise, for the presentation. I would like to understand better what's the proof of technology that you need to achieve to, first of all, demonstrate the qualities of your product. Second, to demonstrate that there is a market for something that can be printed, and that could be two different proofs of concept. But either you have done them or you will do them. But I see that you have a building block. It's not clear to me how good it is, and it's not clear to me where it's going to be used.
Yes, actually, because this product is intended at the beginning for scientists. One of the main proof about the quality of our product is the move of word. So basically, because we have collaborations with several universities, perhaps, for example, Kyoto University and the Tokyo University, which are pioneers in regenerative medicine and stem cell technology. That would be one of the main points to prove that our biomaterial is good quality and it works well for culturing cells. And about the market, well, the market is there. The market is growing in a very, very accelerated pace. We also want to focus at first in Latin America, because it's one of the markets that is growing faster. It's kind of, I think it's kind of delayed because these markets have been growing a lot in other parts of the world. It's just starting in Latin America. So that's why for us it's so important to start from Latin America, specifically from Chile. That will be a bridge. And also another proof is that as soon as scientists start using our bioink, they will start publishing papers with our bioink. And also that is a validation for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Denise.
Hi.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very nice. Generally speaking, giving you some kind of feedback, I would say that I like the strategy. Overall, I believe it's the best way to build reputation and have a breaking to this market is with the partnerships, especially partnerships with the producers of bioinkers, etc. So you can basically you can sell the bioinks and you can also develop your bioink towards the needs of these new bioprinter producers. So that's one point. If I could maybe, I know the time for presentation is very, very short, but I would work more on the differentiation of your product. You showed one graphic. Maybe I would give more details or be ready to answer about the differentiation of your product, because it's a crowded space. Overall, I think that's it. And your timelines look a little bit aggressive, but I understand that there's a huge need over there to be attended. So congratulations and best of luck for you.
Thank you, Rodrigo. Yeah, we need to, if the time is longer, we can actually talk a little bit more about the differentiation and the details about our biomaterial. Thank you.
So my name is Javier Ursua. I am CEO and founder of Medix. The day people won't have to lose their physical abilities as a consequence of aging, it's at our doorstep. This presentation is about how are we getting to that day. Arthritis is the first global cause of permanent disability. More than 300 million people are diagnosed with this condition worldwide. $140 billion are spent each year in the US alone in direct medical expenses because of this pathology. The pharmaceutical companies in this slide have been investing billions a year in what they call DMADs, or disease-modifying arthritis drugs. In parallel, in this slide, you see some of the renowned medical institutions which are heavily investing in regenerative medicine treatment development. But how to know who will acquire this condition? How to identify how bad will it be, or when will it occur, and which is the best treatment for each case? That's where we come in, developing the first arthritis prognosis platform to instantly predict who is getting the condition, on what level, and how fast with just a common MRI. Today, we're able to successfully measure specific arthritis biomarker variation from a simple MRI, and as a result, we have signed a collaboration agreement with a renowned cell therapy research center. We're currently designing clinical studies and working on our predictive models. So, behind all this work, we find our Chief of Data Science, PhD in Physics, Bori Fanes, our Chief of Engineering, PhD candidate of Biomedical Engineering, Carlos Andrade, and who speaks. Our advisory on international management is Marcus, you already know them, and our science and research advisor is Wolfgang Stutch. We're currently building a dedicated medical advisory board with top-tier clinicians for our next steps. So I want to ask you a question. What is that activity that you love the most? That activity you're really passionate about? Maybe it's running, maybe it's playing tennis, golf, going trekking or skiing, spending time with your kids, playing with them, your grandkids. Now, how much would you be willing to give up to prevent losing that activity as a consequence of aging?
Thank you very much for your presentation. I just couldn't figure out precisely what's the main competitive advantage that your technology has. It's like the precision of the diagnostic, the speed, or what is exactly?
I would say in a big and a solid database, and we think our algorithms shown up to this point are highly efficient, with good results in terms of precision. I believe we have a good intellectual property strategy in place, and also a first mover advantage, because until this point there's no real tool out there that's actually tackling prognosis for arthritis. You have cancer, you have liver, heart disease, a lot of chest and breathing, but knowing arthritis.
But like the main advantage is the precision of the diagnostic that you provide. I mean, you like detect the disease earlier than the usual procedures.
Okay, so the advantage of the product is, yes, to be able to rise and predict what's going to happen when the pathology is still early. Because what happens today is that clinicians are getting super late. And you see what happened in the hospitals and clinics, and what you see is it's patients that get knee replacement or joint replacement, which is a highly invasive treatment with some grade of disability associated. So what we want to do is tackle this new generation of regenerative drugs or palliative drugs and treatments, and be able to be the companion diagnostics, to be able to support their labor and spot this before it happens, save costs, save money for governments, institutions.
Okay.
Hi, Javier. Very nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe two questions. First of all, I need to say that I like what you're doing, because you are dealing with a very huge, I'd say, unmet need, and you are working with the concept of disease interception. That means we are not treating patients, we're keeping people healthy, and there's a huge value on that. If you could expand a little bit on your plans for clinical development, or maybe to have the how can you how can you say that you are sure, or what's the degree of certainty that you have that person will really develop osteoarthritis? And also, how your business plan? Are you selling the software, or you're selling the service? How that's going to work?
Yeah, okay. I'll start from the end and then go back to the beginning of your questioning order. We're a software as a medical device company. So what we would typically say is that in case that we don't exit early to one of the companies that we showed in the deck, we would go B2B with health institutions, mainly the guys that are actually interested and have the purchase capacity within health institutions are the radiology departments who actually serve their customers, which are other clinicians, right? Surgeons. Today, we are working on our first clinical study to prove the first half of our development, which is first biomarkers. With that done, and we plan to do that within the next year. In parallel, we are now working on our predictive models. I would have to lie to you, which I don't want to, in terms of what's going to be the outcome of this process of prognosis. Nevertheless, prognosis, it's not something new. It has accelerated the last couple of years because of CNNs and convolutional neural networks and so on. And but I'm pretty confident that my PhDs and co-founders have all what it takes to get the company to that point. Couple of big hotshots.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Greg, you need to unmute.
Okay, Javier, great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
I wanted to bring up something from my own past experience in medical devices and specifically in medical imaging that I think you really need to keep in mind. And that is your technology is addressing the needs of really different players in the hospital setting because it has to be endorsed by radiologists who will be using it, but also by the ones who are treating the patients, which are probably the orthopedic surgeons, maybe the general medicine physicians. So it's really important in your strategy to keep in mind what motivates each of those different groups, and how you can have your strategy focused to address those needs that those different groups have, and that will help you be successful. And specifically, one additional item specifically for the U.S. market, this is a technology that will have to have a reimbursement strategy,
For sure.
so that either radiologists or the doctors prescribing treatment to the patients are able to use your technology and be reimbursed for this additional information that your technology provides. But I think you're onto something great. So congratulations.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks. I think what you mentioned is super key, and reimbursement is something that we're looking into. It's not an immediate thing to have solved in our timing, because we're not there yet, but definitely something that we need to have nailed.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Martin. I'm the founder of Solid, and we are the future of footwear customization. Our feet were made to walk, to run, and climb once in a while. Bare feet can be great in all of that. But modern life pushes to cross boundaries. Even if you have normal feet, when you expose yourself to intense sport or long-standing hour, you will suffer consequences. That happens because people do not transfer correctly their body weight through their feet. And believe me, I have seen how invalidating this can become through Carola, my wife, who suffered foot pain for years. She is the reason that Solid exists. Solid's mission is to make all feet perform even better. And we do it by automating the insole design to give customized solutions at large scale, based on motion, science, and algorithms. In practice, we acquire the data, build a biomechanical profile, calculate the body interaction, and generate the final 3D model. We are the next step on footwear personalization, not about colors or model, but advanced biomechanics. We are the first who achieved design automation to make it accessible, to make it scalable. They changed my life. The insoles are part of my feet. These are the result from the experience of more than 900 insoles delivered until now. We are validating our technology in the orthopedic segment to finally reach the entire footwear market, which is changing rapidly with the 3D printing and all the customization that is allowed. Our business model is being the best one on biomechanical customization, with a software that does everything by itself and get as many people as possible. We focus on algorithms and sales, not hardware, not manufacturing, and not delivery. We offer our platform to clinics, and we charge a fee for each insole they sell. Then, when people need another, we sell them directly through the internet. And finally, we will license our technology to big brands. We are already talking with Nike, On, and Mizuno. We are looking for a $2 million round, mainly to get to the US. That is by far the biggest market. Given that we want the first place on Start Ciencia and Ganesha Lab, we are in a good place to achieve it. I'm very proud of the team that we have, with great investor and experienced advisor. But forget about insoles for a moment. Imagine that you have the power to build each shoe biomechanically perfect for each person. That is our dream. Thanks.
I would like to start by asking again a personal question. How did you end up in this field? You slight a little bit of a hint throughout your presentation, but I'm really intrigued by the story behind the company.
Yes, well, I'm an architect, and my wife suffered a lot of foot pain. His doctor prescribed insole, and I understand that the insole they have a lack of criteria, a lack of design. They have a lot of problems. The same happening in Chile is all around the world. So I propose to make a change. They make it how to supposed to be built with real data, with real science behind the final design.
Thank you, Martin. And I'm not sure if I'm allowed to ask another question, but really quickly, do you think is your solution ready for the mass market, or it should be more focused on athletes or other niche market opportunities?
For the mass market. In the reality, most of the people will be better with an insole. That's the real truth. But the athlete can perform better, but you can impact real strong in real life people if you change a few things of her biomechanic, the back pain, mostly everything. So it's appeared that we are talking about a niche, but in the reality it's a very big market, and we have to go to everyone.
Hello, Martin. Good to see you. Hi, Santiago.
Hey, great.
So it seems that your technology has the capability of collecting a lot of data about people who are suffering from a real problem, foot pain. What are your plans for that data as you accumulate more information from different countries, different types of people, different ethnicities, different genders, men, women? Do you see any potential for expanding your product range or service range?
Yeah, absolutely. I can answer that. The data we have collected, of course, help us to build patterns of the population. Because we are now in the orthopedic world, which is a very uncommon world, but we have discovered that the data has repeated patterns in sports, in comfort. So we think all this data could be used for retail applications, for industrial production, not only customized for some niches, but also to use the patterns we discovered and use it for mass applications, retail and other applications. Not only insoles, but other footwear, foot solutions, heel lifts, insoles, of course, shoes, and Crocs, sandals, and a lot of other applications.
Thank you, Santiago. Rodrigo.
Hi, Martin. Hi, Santiago. Very nice presentation. And very good answers to those questions. I liked it very much. I have the feeling that you have the potential to build up different, maybe spin-offs of your company for first data. Data is the new oil, so there's a huge potential in your data there. The second one is the market for regular people, and regular people with pen because of because the distribution of the weight's not regular on the foot. So that's something. It's people that want to feel better and losing the pen. And the other one is the specialty market for athletes. Maybe those people just want to perform better. So there's a huge potential there. And I really like your approximation with Nike and Mizuno and so on, because those guys, I believe they could help you to get strategy, to get better traction, scale, and especially reputation. Because if you tell to regular people that, or you're going to use the same thing that LeBron James is using now, people just buy that. and maybe it's a good idea. And congratulations and best of luck to you.
Thank you, Rodrigo.
So 95% of all people believe that they will develop some type of dementia in their lifetime. Also, 82% of all of them submit, they're willing to submit to some genetic tests to determine the risk. And this is because Alzheimer's disease is one of the main death causes that doesn't have any good treatment or diagnosis. This is in part because the diagnostic process is really complicated. It can take between 3 to 6 months. Multiple visits to the doctors is invasive and expensive, and all of this to only get a performance of around 70%. My name is Alejandro Vizquer, and with my co-founder Juan Sebastián Morales, we created Neurognos 3 years ago with one single objective: change the current trajectory of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. We have assembled a great team. Now we're more than 30 people with healthcare workers, scientists, and engineers. And this is what Marcus was saying. The COVID pandemic took everyone by surprise. And while most startups are companies are trying to survive, we saw a great opportunity. We create Testel Clinical Laboratory that's a spin-off of Neurognos. And since then, we have analyzed more than 30,000 patients for SARS-CoV-2 using PCR technology, the same technology that we use to analyze Alzheimer's. We set up this laboratory in record time. It only took us 20 days, and the average time to take these laboratories to market is a year. Since then, we have expanded our infrastructures 4 times. We have increased our biobank specimens more than 12 times, and we have doubled the number of invention patents. Also, we are current in 3 clinical trials. And all this to push our flagship product, NeuroPrecise, which is a diagnostic test for Alzheimer's disease based on PCR technology that only need a single blood sample. We are able to deliver results in just 24 hours with better performance than anything in the market. All this, it's really important because Chile is a great target audience to start. We have more than 6.5 million people that could benefit from this technology. And we have a unique opportunity because Chile has a law called AUGE that ensures that everybody that needs this type of technology will have it. They have the diagnostic for Alzheimer's, and the government will pay for it. So this makes Chile the perfect place to launch our test. With all this, I'm proud to announce for the first time here in the BioHunt that we have opened our new investment round. We're looking to raise $1 million through convertible notes as an investment instrument, with a cap of $6 million. The use of these funds will be to push our product, NeuroPrecise, in their last step before commercialization in Q3 2021. Also support some post-marketing activities and increase our patent coverage. I will leave you with this number. Every 3 seconds, someone in the world develops Alzheimer's disease. So the time to act is now. Thank you for your time, and I'm looking to answer all your questions.
Hi, Alejandro. Thank you for the presentation today.
Sure.
I have a question. Alzheimer is a big focus of interest by many pharma companies. What's the stage of the conversations with potential pharma partners that could see your diagnostic as a helper in the clinical trial process?
So for most companies, we have talked to Eisai, Biogen, Johnson & Johnson, and all of them through when we were in Boston, San Francisco, and San Diego, through Ganesha and other activities. Most of them, they care about 2 big things. First, if your targets for Alzheimer's talk to their target of their drugs. So most of them are working in A-beta and tau. So one of the things that they care a lot if what you're measuring in the blood talk to those targets. So we use microRNAs as technology, and some of the microRNAs that we're analyzing are really good indicators of what's going on with A-beta and tau. We have other markers that are related with inflammation and dead cell, but in general, companies care a lot about those type of information. That being said, the next step for us now is try to push this to market through Chile, but on the process, we're validating with samples from the US, the UK, and Australia, and all these samples has information about A beta and tau that then we can put together and come back to talk to the different pharmaceutical companies in order maybe to get to a license agreement or something on that sort. I don't know if that explains a little bit of the strategy.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Alejandro, great presentation and congratulations on your progress. Good to see you. So I'm curious, if you have a very ambitious product about a very hot topic, which is neurological diseases, Alzheimer's disease, and in particular. How do you think you can move your project forward fastest? What types of partners and like strategic partners do you think will be your best bet to help you move your project forward?
So probably 1 year ago, we presented BioHunt, and our main strategy to take the product to market was through IVD diagnostic test. So going through entire processes with the FDA. We have decided to pull back a little bit and go through CLIA lab. And a big part of that is because we tested as a clinical lab that's actually working on getting the CLIA certification. The process to go to market, at least in Chile, will be faster. So in that regard, probably good partners in the US or even other countries should be laboratories or networks of laboratories that they have the CLIA certification and they're interested in get our product in those specific markets. So a big part of what we're doing is try to do all the validation to go and sell in Chile, but with that in mind. So everything that we're doing in terms of like clinical trials, quality management systems, and everything is with that in mind. We don't want to hold our growth just to go first with Chile. The idea is to have the entire package to in the future present to some of those partners in the US as an example. And I know that some of our competitors in the US are trying to do the same thing, to have diagnostic tests through blood as a CLIA service. And the big part is try to get to a network of labs that they are covered most of the US. So we have some validation of the strategy in that regard.
Thank you.
So, I'm supposed to give some feedback and recommendations. First of all, congratulations on the work, Alejandro. I think it's very impressive, and especially about how you have served the COVID pandemic situation. Just like a couple of like things that I think that could improve like the whole presentation. Following about what like just Greg said, I think it's relevant that you are planning to launch a service in Chile, but for most of the investor, I think that's not like the key issue that they're thinking about, but what should be the next steps. I mean, this type of diagnostic usually take a long time and require a lot of funding. So what should be like the next milestone that you need to achieve in order to attract the attention of a bigger fund? Saying like, I mean, thinking about like, okay, so you're presenting in this round looking to raise $1 million. Maybe next round should be around like 3 to 5, and then to do that you need to achieve like a next milestone and to attract the attention of a bigger fund. So I think that's something that maybe should need to be highlighted on the presentation.
If you can give me 1 minute, I can at least give you a little bit of light on that regard. So I think that's a great question, because when we present in 3 minutes, our biggest issue is like, okay, should we talk about the next year or the next 3 years? So in that regard,
I agree.
The thing on going through CLIA, through Chile, and use all the resources and leverage that we got from COVID is to get some leverage for the next step. Not because we want to pursue this route. It's not like we're like giving up in dollar routes that where the exits are probably available, and for the investors that you said is really important. So the next big milestone after we go to CLIA in Chile is show the validation that we have done with the data of like top-notch biobanks and clinical trials. hopefully to get like a great publication and get the data out of the way and say, okay, these kids not only can sell this in Chile, a Latin American country with some regulation, they have all the data or the expertise to go to the next step. I think put that together as a compelling argument for the next round is probably one of the things that we will do.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the elements that should need to be like highlighted a little more in terms of like bring more scientific validation and more data to the presentation, because diagnostic is kind of like a weird place where you look for like commercial validation, but at the same time it needs to be supported by a strong scientific validation. And so I think that's kind of like the hard mixture that you need to find the right balance between those two things, about how to prove that you can reach the market, but at the same time that you have a solid foundation in terms of like the data,
Sure.
the science that it's behind.
That's a difficult balance to get, for sure.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that we have done in the past, and maybe we'll do in the future, it's more than put more data that most people don't actually like check the data in just 3 minutes, and maybe put like, we have some of the trials that we're doing are on clinicaltrial.gov, and so that's a really easy cue to know, okay, whatever they're building, it sounds solid, and then maybe in a second or a third round they can dig into the data, into the statistics and those type of things, but at least get a hint that what you have in the background has a good foundation. So I totally agree with you. It's a hard balance to get, but we're always thinking on that.
Absolutely. Congratulations.